Hello, have you ever wondered why your child has been diagnosed with ADHD or oppositional defiant disorder, or why they're experiencing anxiety and depression and all of these negative characteristics that are happening to our youth today? If there was a way, some information that could help you not just deal with it, but that could actually help your child heal and become the champion that they actually authentically are on the inside, is that something that you'd actually want to know about? And if you're saying, no, it's a diagnosis and my child has a chemical imbalance, so there's really something wrong with them, and that's what you actually believe, and there's no telling you that you can have your child become a champion, a genius, outstanding, confident citizen, then you're in the wrong group, okay? Because we're here to talk about solutions and bring you answers and bring you awareness that you probably never ever heard before. And so I want to take you back in parenting history and just bring up some things that can give you the knowledge and the knowing that we've been duped. We've been led down a path that has created a society of entitlement, of immediate gratification, of blaming other people, of crying when things don't go our way. And I do believe that it has been done strategically. The reason why I say that is because when you do your due diligence and you research history and you understand that, say, before the mid-1920s, all they did to raise children was, well, number one, the children had a purpose in the house. They were there to help, to contribute, to work, to, be part of a tribe or a community to get things done. And if a child did something that the parent didn't like, or the teacher didn't like, or whoever the authority was that they didn't like, they would just beat the child, right? They'd beat them with switches, they'd lock them in closets, anything that was really harsh type punishment. And when you read articles from the 1920s, parenting had just become an actual word about 200 years before that, when Dr. John Locke studied children, and he said that they are born without any inherent idea of how the world works. They're not born knowing what manners are, or how to tie their shoes, or how to drive a car, or how to ask somebody respectfully, or how to use manners, or how to sit properly at a chair, to eat dinner. They're not born that way. So as Dr. John Locke pointed out in the 17th century, children are born with a blank slate, not meaning that they're not born without personality, not meaning that they're, not an individual, because of course they are, but all he was saying is that they're just born totally pure, with pure potential, open, clean slates, willing to learn anything that you and I would be willing to actually teach them. And that was about the mid-17th century. And still for hundreds of years, they use corporal punishment and beatings and torture. Now, also, understand that 100 years ago, 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds were considered adults. They were off building their own houses and having babies and getting married. And there was no blaming. It was if it is to be, it's up to me. If I want to have a house, I'm going to have to build it, right? So that's the way the world was. And then right around the mid-1920s, it was proven, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that if you cater to your child's every whim, the baby cries and you pick up the baby because they're crying. The baby wants up on a chair, can't get up, and you come along and you help them up on the chair. It was proven back in, like I said, the 1920s, that if you did that, if you kissed and coddled and responded to your child's every whim, that they were going to be adult wussies. We would raise wussies. And then somewhere in the mid-1940s, mid-1946, Dr. Benjamin Spock wrote a book called Baby and Child Care. And Baby and Child Care sold more copies than any other nonfiction book for 52 years running. So if you go back to, say, 1946, my mom was born in 1955. So almost a decade before my mom was born, out comes this book. And in the first time in the history of the world, parents are being taught to cater to their children's every whim, that children require massive amounts of attention, and if they don't get it, they act out in this way or that way, or they respond in these really negative ways. This is what we've been taught. If you agree with what I'm saying, if that resonates with you, if you've heard that somewhere before, I want you to click like on the video, share some likes or share a comment down below just saying, yes, I've heard that, or yes, I feel that. My job is to make my children happy, because when I was a child, I was never happy. But our parents in our generation, parents that were born in the 40s, 50s, or 60s, they were born in a very confusing time. Spankings and beating children had just become outlawed. It was very controversial. And because that's how they were raised, just like JFK said in the middle of the 1960s, he says, children are only as good as what they've been taught. Well, aren't you and I just adult children? Aren't you and I just as good as what we've been taught? Hi, Brittany. Thank you so much for being here and being part of our teacher infantry. I love that you're here. So if we're only as good as what we've been taught, and our parents were raised in this very dictational, speak when spoken to, and if you get out of line, I'm going to beat you or throw my mom had her stereo thrown out the window of an apartment building because grandma was mad at her one day. A lot of physical abuse and a lot of emotional abuse. So I just remember my mom going, oh my God, I can't spank you. Spock says don't spank. I don't know what to do to get you to listen to me. And so there was a lot of yelling and comparing to my little brother, and just very, to me, and I'm sure you can probably relate with this to some degree, but very disempowering parenting methods. I mean, wasn't there ever a time in your youth where you thought something was great, or you thought of an idea, or you did something and you had no idea that you were breaking a rule or doing anything bad, but the adults in your life started yelling at you or cursing you or basically just disempowering you? If you can relate with that, also give me a like or an angry face or something like that on the video. Yes, I grew up with a ton of yelling and I'm a yeller now. Well, of course, Cindy, and welcome, by the way, thank you so much for being here. Because we're only as good as what we've been taught. And then what happens is, on the inside of our spirit, we know, like, we go to bed crying at night, or we lock ourselves in the bathroom and we cry, don't we? Because we've yelled at our kids so much and it just doesn't feel good. It feels so negative. Doctor Spock also was the grandfather of what we would call naughty time or timeout. And you see, when you take a whole, like basically thousands of years, as far as you can study back, of corporal punishment, and then you publish a book that says, no, corporal punishment's not okay. It actually disempowers our kids and makes them angry, and it causes fear and resentment in teenagers. And we know this to be true. We've experienced this ourselves. And so my point is so Dr. Spock teaches you and I, teaches our parents to cater to our every whim. Competing with the Joneses began, say, in the 1950s, mid-1950s, at the exact same time that the term terrible twos was coined. It wasn't until the mid-1950s that we even called 2-year-olds terrible. It wasn't till the 1960s, 50s and 60s, where we had teenagers that were so rebellious that they were protesting Vietnam War in the streets. And all we have to do is just look back through history to see that what I'm saying is the truth. Now, Oh, for those of you that haven't met me, I'm Bonnie Leota. And just a few years ago, I was raising kids that were so off the wall and out of control and being diagnosed with all of these behavior disorders and emotional disorders. And I was a personal development coach, and I had no idea what to do with my kids. And I discovered an answer, and that's what got me researching parenting history in the first place to bring me to this point. And the information that I'm going to share with you here today, it's going to rock your world. I also know that some parents or teachers or psychologists or whatever that are going to watch this, some of you are going to hate me for bringing the news, just like the Catholic Church hated Galileo when he said the earth isn't the center of the universe, the sun is. Or just like Christopher Columbus, who said the earth isn't flat, it's round. And so I'm here saying that what we've been taught for the last 85 years in parenting has brought us to this place where a massive amount of people, I mean, if you're a parent and you have 4 kids, you're pretty much guaranteed that one of them will be diagnosed with ADHD, if not 2, in today's society. Well, like, do you agree with me that something is off the mark there? If you agree that something is off the mark and there's something inside of you that is just telling you, no, there's something here. My kids have potential. I have to figure out what it is. Give me some likes, some hearts, some loves on the video. Share this message. Get it inside your soul and your heart that your kids have champion in them, that we have the ability for moms everywhere and kids all over the globe. We have the ability to empower these little beings who just were not taught the life skills. My daughter was so well behaved. She didn't need to be spanked or yelled at. My toddler now doesn't. Well, like I said, Dr. John Locke says we're all born with personalities, just that we don't have the life skill. And, you know, certain people learn in certain ways. There's 8 different types of intelligence, but we're only taught 3 different types of intelligence in our school system, or basically in society. And if a child goes to school or they don't listen, and by the way, for all of you with oppositionally defiant children, the ones with high spirits, the strong-willed ones that are fighting you right now, all of the great leaders of the past had those issues when they were kids. They had them. They were strong-willed. They were determined. They were ambitious. They went out of their way to do what they want. Maybe there was like a certain set of confidence in these children or something inside their spirit that said, you're not going to keep me down and I'm going to get my own way and I'm going to speak up and step out and be like a siren on an ambulance somewhere just saying something's off the mark, and something is off the mark, you guys. 52% increase in the diagnosis of ADHD and oppositional defiant disorder in the last decade alone. Something is off the mark. And so we are here to build mother infantry, father infantry, teacher infantry to take back our kids by empowering them with proactive and positive methods and messages that don't only empower your kids, but empower you. Oh, this is so great. Thank you. That's reassuring because it's so hard right now. Oh, absolutely. Guys, when my son was 6, he's now almost 13. When he was 6, he used to scream for an hour and a half. Like, he'd sit on the toilet and scream for an hour and a half, come wipe my bum. And eventually we would just all cave in. Somebody would cave in and go do it. And so what I didn't realize was that we were teaching him that if he wanted to have that done, all he had to do is sit on the toilet and scream for an hour and a half. He has the persistence of a Steve Jobs, who also was oppositionally defiant. Totally agree. Too many are being diagnosed. Yes, too many are being diagnosed. Way too many. One is too many, because when you realize what I'm about to share with you here, you're just going to get on board with us and you're going to be like, yes, I'm taking my kids back. No, you're not testing my kid. What life skill does he need to learn? What is it that I need to teach him? Oh, he needs to learn focus. Oh, we need to do self-control training. That's all it is, you guys. But here's the thing. The pediatricians, the teachers, the doctors, society has taught us what we know. And that's it. And so in 1946, Doctor Spock wrote his book. And in 1974, he comes out with this article. I totally agree. Oh, yeah. He comes out with this article. Spock swallows his words. So 1946, 56, 66, almost 30 years, 28 years after he publishes Baby and Child Care, he says, Spock laid the blame for the resulting brattiness of America's children. Now, this was in 1974, and now we're 2017, and the brattiness is following into Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand. I mean, we get messages from different people all over the world every single day. All right. But he says Spock laid the blame for the resulting brattiness of America's children, at least in part, on the experts, the child psychiatrists, psychologists, teachers, social workers, and pediatricians like myself. In the 20th century, that's us. In the 20th century, parents have been persuaded that these are the only people who know for sure how children should be managed. These are the same people that are telling us, oh, your child's acting out. Oh, they scream for 2 hours at a time. Oh, they have ADHD. Oh, they have ODD. I'm going to refer you to a psychiatrist. Well, psychiatrist is on the list. These guys have never worked with kids. They study from textbooks, and they're studying with an idea that was brought to us back in the 1st century when St. Augustine from the Catholic Church said that all children are born into sin. All children are born defiant. Want to know where that thought comes from? Because babies cry. Babies cry, and crying is a negative energy, so that must mean that they're born sinful, and we've got to discipline them and punish them out of them by the time they're an adult. That's the idea that we've been living with as human beings for 2,000 years. That's the idea that all of these professionals get their advice from, is that thinking. Which is funny because it comes from the Catholic Church, and right in the Bible, whether you believe in the Bible or not, you can read any personal development book or study any personal development leader like Anthony Robbins or Deepak Chopra. But right in the Bible, in the 1st chapter, it says that we were created in the image of our Creator. We were created in the image and likeness of our Creator. I don't think we were created with ADHD and ODD and all these things. He goes on to say, this is a cruel deprivation that we professionals have imposed on mothers and fathers. Of course, we did it with the best of intentions. We didn't realize until it was too late how our know-it-all attitude was undermining the self-assurance of parents. He says, as a result, says Spock, parents who are afraid of alienating their children are letting them away with not coming in for lunch on time, not wearing snowsuits when they should, and eating candy when they shouldn't. He swallows his words because in the book Baby and Child Care, he teaches us that children need attention to feel loved and to cater to their every whim. And 30 years later, he says, we shouldn't be afraid of alienating our children, because if we are, then we're going to let them away with these things and we really shouldn't. And then the kids are going to not only be disrespectful and entitled, they're not going to have any thought of like gratitude. They're not going to have any feeling of purpose. They're not going to know how to desire things because we just give them and lavish them with everything they need. Well, that's embarrassing. So funny. All right. It's this fear, you guys. It's this fear that Spock and his colleagues have impressed upon us that has brought us to this point. Oh gosh, I think it was Lynn. Sorry if I got your name wrong, but I was asked a question this morning. You know, when I ask my son to do something, or my husband asks my son to do something, then it's, I hate you. And, you know, what do you say, or how do you respond to a child that says, I hate you, when you are actually holding them to learning a life skill or following through with a responsibility? And that life skill, I hate you, that's been taught somewhere. Somewhere along the line, the child has said, I hate you, you're the worst parent in the world. And because the parent wanted the child to feel loved, or the parent wanted to feel loved, we have given in to that child at some point in time and taught him, created a neural pathway in that brain that taught him that saying, I hate you is going to get me what I want. And that's it. And so what we teach here at Creating Champions for Life is how to set up an environment where you're not in control of your child, because really our children are sitting back and they're thinking, I have a body, I have a mind, I have ideas, I have desires, I want things. And every time I try to step out, and for a baby, like a 2-year-old, taking a glass and banging it on a glass table isn't bad behavior to them. To them, it's exploring, it's being curious, it's just experiencing life. And then to us as an adult brain, it's like, oh my gosh, the glass is gonna break, he's gonna cut his finger. No, that's bad. We gotta find some way so that our child doesn't like hurt himself. And so we react in this very punishment-oriented, positive discipline, keeps doing it, gonna put you in a timeout kind of way. And I'm wondering, and this might bring such huge awareness, but how is the child going to experience what he needs to experience and learn what he can bang if we just tell him no and we put him in a timeout? If anyone has an answer for me, I'd love to hear an answer. I was born in 1986. My parents didn't yell at me, and they've always been supportive. I only got spanked a few times during my childhood. I don't think I can see the rest, Brittany, of your message. And Brittany, you are a very sweet soul. You're giving, you're kind, you work hard, you're there for other people, you love making a difference. I can always count on you when I need somebody. And I love that you had supportive parents. And if we didn't have supportive parents, of course, I'm not saying blame our parents or not blame anybody. I'm just saying that it's 2017. We're in the information age. Our children are being literally taken from us. We are being led down a path with this wishy-washy parenting that is not serving our kids, and they're doing their best to tell us that something's off the mark. It's just that nobody's had an answer because all of these professionals have never worked with children. All right, so we're bringing you answers and awareness that basically comes from, I would say, 40 years of experience of working with people in personal development, because Thomas, my husband, worked with thousands of children for over 20 years now, guiding behavior with proactive plans, setting goals, making a plan, persevering through obstacles, allowing the child to actually do things, conquer things, complete things, create things, all on their own. And that way, when a child says, I want a $700 bike, then you can say, I would love for you to have a $700 bike. How are you going to make $700? Let's think of a plan. How's that going to work? Maybe it might take a couple of years. But who are we to say no to a child who has a desire for something? We can always say yes, not yes, here you go, but oh my gosh, let's explore that. Let's talk about that. I'm a teenager and I want to go to a party. Over my dead body. No way. And if they sneak out, we punish them. What if we said, I would love for you to go to a party. I need the name and the phone number of all of the supervisors that are going to be there, the parents. We need to put a plan in place. Perhaps if you were getting straight A's in school and you did everything that you were supposed to do for a month or 2 weeks at a time, that you could earn your right to go. You can go for an hour, 3 hours, or you can stay till midnight based on your actions. There's just always a way. And so to finish off that story, when my 15-year-old daughter said, I want to go to a bush party this summer, I said, oh, okay, that's great. Like, who's the supervisors? Who can we talk to? Oh, I don't think that they are taking phone calls or whatever it was. And it was like, well, great. As soon as we can talk to a supervisor, we can then create a plan for you to go to this party. And then 2 days later, it was like, oh yeah, we decided not to go, because they couldn't get me a name and a phone number because there was no supervisors there, and they already know in advance plan if there's no supervisors, that's what they need to have in place to be able to go, right? And so, guys, I've studied personal development for 22 years. I know how to get anything you want based on, attitude and based on how badly do you actually want it. And so if you're here, you're watching this video, I know you want kids that are cooperative and helpful and happy and that work with you in harmony, teenagers who come to you and trust you, who ask you for advice first before they ask anybody else, because you always tell them straight up and give them an answer, and you always help them with the plan. And you see, the only way to help our children step into their own own greatness is to help them build their own confidence. And the only way to build confidence is to have them actually create things all by themselves. I know that a lot of you are digging into the book, Learn to Speak Kid. It is a free gift for all of you. We want the world to know about these empowering, loving, sometimes tough love, but we always end up being the good person because we're always there to teach what they need to learn to get there. Even if it's, we'll talk about it when you're 18 or we'll talk about it when you're 16. At least I'm not being the controlling parent, telling them no or yes or double checking every single thing that they do because I don't trust that they're going to do it as well as me. You see, all these just little tidbits of pieces of information are going to help us go from unhealthy to healthy, help us go from chaos to peace, help us go from anger and frustration to love and understanding. And that's the journey that we want to take you on here. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts. I'd love to have you do your own due diligence and discover the history of parenting and how we got here and where all these PhDs who do the diagnosis and the testing, like where did they get their information in the first place? What are they basing this on? Just because Steve Jobs didn't want to go and sit in a classroom and the teachers actually didn't engage him on enough of a level to motivate him to engage didn't mean that he was, chemically imbalanced or that he needed to be medicated or anything. I mean, look at the guy. Started his business at 14 and by 21 was a multimillionaire. By 25 had over $100 million in his bank and built one of the biggest companies, one of the biggest icon companies in the world. I was dictated to a lot, mostly by my mom. She still tries to tell me what to do and I'm 31 years old. Yeah. So Spock and his team have taught us to be authoritative in our homes, taught us to be the dictators, taught us that we're in control. And the truth is that our children chose us for a reason. They chose you to be their mommy for a reason. My kids chose me to be their mommy for a reason. And I think it was because of this journey right here, because they were going to put off their sirens so big and so loud. And I was going to be in personal development for more than 20 years before I actually saw the answer so I could recognize the answer. And now my children have gone through the transition. They're no longer diagnosed with ADHD or ODD. We no longer have arguments. My son no longer screams for hours at a time. They're going into their teenage life with confidence and happiness and knowing how to get anything that they want based on their thoughts and their feelings and their actions. And that's probably a lot of us. We need to learn that too, because like Brittany says, if you've been dictated to and told what to do and how to do it and when to do it and where to do it your whole life, how are you ever going to learn to think on your own? So from me to you, you have the power. You have all of the capabilities to create anything in your life that you would choose. We are here to work with you and help you. I'm going to do everything in my power to bring you as much content, great content, life-changing content in this group as possible. I'm going to ask in exchange that you download and read Learn to Speak Kid. Just go to learntospeakkid.com and download your free ebook there. And I also want to encourage you guys to get the audio series. There's probably hundreds and hundreds of you that downloaded the ebook before I had the audio series available. And the audio series is just going to help you get through the information faster because you can listen to it while you're cooking or walking or cleaning or anything going to work out, whatever. You just have it playing all the time. It's also a great way to get hubby involved. Right here, listen to this audio. And it's 12 hours. When I first discovered the knowledge that Tom had in his head when he was working with all these thousands of children and using the opposite of anything negative to teach them, guiding rather than punishing, proactive rather than reactive, allowing bare minimum behavior, just rewarding with bare minimum rewards back, right? And so anyway, if you're really open to this and loving the idea and reading the book and not being able to grasp the information fast enough, I'm going to put a link in the comment section below that will allow you to get these original, raw, and uncut Thomas audios for 25% off. That right now is a a first time when you go to the website to get the ebook, you'll be offered that. Take it or leave it, doesn't matter to me. I'm just saying if you want it, it's there, and I'm going to make it available in the comments section below for you too. I must have missed that. Where can we get the audio? Awesome. Yeah. I'll put them in the comment section below here. You guys will be able to find it. I'll also edit this video when I'm done, and I'll put it in the top section, you know, get your audio here. Yeah. And I really want to know what you guys think. What do you think about this? Let me finish off by saying that Doctor Spock, his grandson, at the age of 22, so Doctor Spock, the grandfather of positive discipline, naughty time, his 22-year-old grandson jumped off the roof of the building that his father worked at on Christmas Eve, killing himself, of course. I don't know, to me that's not chance or luck. To me that's like a loud and clear message from a person that not only us, but all of the professionals in the world have been following for 85 years. How do we not know this? How do we not know that his grandson killed himself? We're not born that way, you guys. We're not born wanting to kill ourselves. We're not born anxious and depressed. We're born with pure potential. And something has got us here. Something has got us here, and we're here to find the answers and find the solutions so that our children can be raised in this most empowering way, and they can love themselves. And then when they're adults, they can live happy lives forever. All right, well, I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. I want to know if you're Mother Infantry, give me some hearts on this video. I love watching like the little hearts. Yes, I'm taking my child back. Yes, what you're saying makes so much sense. Yes, I'm willing to take the time to teach my children life skills no matter how long it takes, because we did decide to become parents, and they're counting on us to be their parent, not their friend, to be somebody who guides them, to be somebody who's willing to be hated for the moment, because we know that in the long run, it's going to be what our children need to thrive and survive in this world. Have a great day, everybody. Bye for now.